The film begins by introducing an unemployed man named Chun Ji-woong, who has lived in poverty for a long time. His daily routine involves sitting in silence while drinking, even though Ji-woong holds a university degree. However, Ji-woong now believes that no matter how high someone's academic qualifications are, they will still lose out to those with connections to government officials. This has left Ji-woong unemployed for the past 3 years, relying solely on financial support from his parents. In addition to being unemployed, another activity Ji-woong often engages in is hanging out with a community of Korean motorcycles enthusiasts. When with his friends, Ji-woong frequently pretends to be wealthy, boasting that he has an endless supply of money. All of this is done in an attempt to impress a beautiful woman named Ye-rin, who has captivated him, leading her to invite Ji-woong out for drinks. At the bar, Ye-rin asks Ji-woong if he likes her. If he says no, their meeting will end, but if he says yes, Ye-rin promises to give him something. Before he can answer, Ji-woong receives a call from his mother, who tells him that their store in their hometown has been destroyed by wild boars and is in a mess. Instead of showing sympathy, Ji-woong responds in a way that angers his mother even more, causing her to curse at Ji-woong before hanging up the phone. Despite the pressing situation, Ji-woong chooses to go with Ye-rin to her small place. There, Ye-rin offers Ji-woong more drinks until he has consumed 10 glasses without realizing it, leading Ye-rin to get closer to him. Not long after, Ji-woong is seen getting what he wanted, so he tries to pay, but his account balance shows only $15, while the item he bought cost $21. Even though he finds $20 in his pocket, the shopkeeper still refuses to let Ji-woong take the item unless he pays the full amount. Feeling bold, Ji-woong decides to run off with the item. A little later, Ji-woong becomes frustrated with how hard his life has become, so he apologizes to Ye-rin and suggests that they stay friends before moving forward with their relationship. The next day, while Ji-woong is still unemployed, the landlord comes by to collect rent. Seeing this, Ji-woong pleads for more time, promising that by next month, he will have a job and be able to pay the overdue rent. However, the landlord, who is tired of Ji-woong's empty promises, gives him an ultimatum. He must pay by tomorrow morning, or he has to move out. This makes Ji-woong even more distressed, to the point where he considers selling a kidney to cover the rent. The next morning, the landlord has already offered the room to someone else, leading Ji-woong to beg for more time. Unfortunately, the landlord remains firm, telling Ji-woong that if he has no money, he might as well live on the streets as a homeless person. That night, Ji-woong officially becomes homeless until suddenly, a woman named Hong-shil offers him food. However, Hong-shil is not as kind as she seems, as she is known for being extremely stingy, even collecting sugar packets when hanging out at cafes. Unexpectedly, Hong-shil's father became involved in online gambling loans, forcing her to bear the family's financial burden, which has made her very frugal. That night, Hong-shil felt sorry for Ji-woong, so she offered him a job. However, she wanted to know what skills he had first. Hesitantly, Ji-woong admitted that he didn't have any special talents. Fortunately, Hong-shil still gave him a job that didn't require any particular skills or experience, as the only requirements were consistency and a willingness to learn. Additionally, Ji-woong had to follow whatever Hong-shil said. Unexpectedly, the job she offered was to become a scavenger. The next morning, Hong-shil instructed Ji-woong to collect valuable items, giving him the rule that no more than 3 boxes of items could be kept, and the rest had to be sold. After Ji-woong sold those items, Hong-shil took him to open a bank account, but it was under her name, as she feared Ji-woong would be careless with his money. Shortly after, Hong-shil told Ji-woong that every time he finished working, he must immediately deposit his money into the bank. Whenever Ji-woong saw an ATM, he had to make a cash deposit, or else he would forfeit his payment. Not long after, Ji-woong realized that the job wasn't too difficult, so he asked Hong-shil if the way they were earning money was ethical. Hong-shil, not wanting to prolong the argument, simply responded that it was better to fill their stomachs this way than to live like corrupt officials. Along the way, Hong-shil asked Ji-woong to drop her off on the road. As she handed him his pay, Hong-shil asked Ji-woong whether men preferred quiet women or more outgoing ones. Ji-woong, fully aware, answered that quiet women were more common. Despite Hong-shil's seemingly compassionate behavior toward Ji-woong, there was a secret behind her actions. Some time ago, Hongxiu heard that the apartment complex where she lived was going to be demolished to build a new mall, and each resident would receive compensation. Therefore, Hongxiu planned to buy the boarding house where Ji Woong lived and register its occupants under her father's name, allowing her to cash in the compensation to her own account. This way, Hongxiu hoped to receive double the compensation. Amid her confusion, she noticed Ji Woong deep in thought and realized she could take advantage of him. Therefore, Hongxiu invited him to make money her way. That night, as a token of gratitude, Ji Woong bought Hongxiu a new makeup product. Although it wasn't expensive, he hoped Hongxiu would use it to make herself look more attractive when meeting men. However, Hongxiu refused and instead suggested that Ji Woong shouldn't waste money on unnecessary things. In return, she invited him to take out the trash with her. A few days later, Ji Woong and Hongxiu lived their daily lives very frugally, balancing their hard work. They did everything from selling records and decorative lamps to being paid guests at weddings. As a result, they gradually saved up money, and now, Ji Woong and Hongxiu could be considered wealthy. However, when Ji Woong was about to deposit their hard-earned money into the bank, a thought crossed his mind. Ji Woong felt that the money was also the result of his hard work, so it was only fair that he wanted to enjoy it for himself. On the other hand, Hongxiu's father suddenly came to her house, prompting Hongxiu to immediately say that she didn't have any money. Unexpectedly, her father's visit was not to ask for money, but to give Hongxiu a sum of money in the form of a check. However, Hongxiu didn't immediately trust her father, who was known for his gambling habits, so she flatly refused the check. Soon after, Ji Woong unexpectedly arrived at Hongxiu's house, leading Hongxiu's father to believe that his daughter had a partner, and he commented that his daughter had finally found someone suitable. However, Hongxiu quickly corrected the misunderstanding by explaining that Ji Woong was just a homeless man sleeping in front of her house. Nevertheless, her father advised Ji Woong to take care of his daughter, saying that Hongxiu was the only precious gem he had. After that, he handed over the check. Some time later, Ye Rin contacted Ji Woong again, and now they were officially dating because Ye Rin believed Ji Woong was a successful and wealthy man. During their date, Ye Rin asked Ji Woong to buy her an expensive pair of shoes, which he immediately agreed to, feeling confident in his newfound wealth. After the date, Ji Woong took Ye Rin to an apartment that looked tidy and nice, though it actually wasn't his, but borrowed from his friend, Song Il. Moments later, Song Il's mother unexpectedly arrived at the apartment, causing Ji Woong and Ye Rin to panic out of fear of being caught. At that moment, Ji Woong lied, saying that Ye Rin was Song Il's girlfriend. The situation became even more chaotic when Song Il's mother didn't like Ye Rin, resulting in their evening date being postponed. Upon returning from the date, Hongxiu asked if Ji Woong had deposited money into the bank. After checking the savings data, there was no change, so Ji Woong explained that he had lent money to a sick friend that day. Therefore, he promised to collect the money and asked his friend to repay it within a month. Frustrated with Ji Woong, Hongxiu began to keep her distance. However, that feeling quickly disappeared when they saw a blood donation banner offering cash prizes and burger meal vouchers. After donating blood, Ji Woong asked Hongxiu if she had any dreams in life, where Hongxiu simply replied that as long as she could eat and live, that was enough. Hearing this, Ji Woong responded by saying that if he ever had a lot of money in the future, he would buy an apartment, a car, and also help his mother expand her business in their hometown. Ji Woong added that in life, there are always two important things: having a dream and pursuing it, or staying still and feeling empty forever. Hongxiu, confused by Ji Woong's words, could only remain silent, but not all of his words were ignored. That day, Hongxiu received a date invitation from a man named Quan, a bank teller she frequently saw while depositing money. Quan appeared so stable that Hongxiu had started to develop feelings for him. Their date was planned to be at a concert. Therefore, Hongxiu prepared herself neatly, even using the makeup product gifted by Ji Woong for the date. However, when the meeting took place, Hongxiu realized that Quan was already in a relationship. As a result, the date shattered Hongxiu's heart, and she decided to excuse herself, claiming she couldn't stand the crowd, leaving the place with all her hopes and a broken heart. Meanwhile, Ji Woong, who had just woken up, was surprised to see Hongxiu back home already. casual in demeanor. Ji-woong asked about her date and wondered why she had returned so soon. Hong Shil remained silent until tears began to flow down her face. Seeing her sadness, Ji-woong invited Hong Shil to come with him, assuring her that he knew how to make her feel better. Soon after, they went to a simple place. Though not luxurious, Ji-woong was confident that Hong Shil would feel happy after being there. Ji-woong then turned on the television in a store and brought a park bench from the street. At that moment, Ji-woong reminded her that life sometimes needs to be economized, especially when poor, but now that they had money, they didn't need to be too stingy with themselves. Additionally, Ji-woong emphasized the importance of happiness and encouraged Hong Shil not to be too hard on herself, so they spent the night with laughter and joyful tears. The next day, they returned to work, but Ji-woong was caught by Ye-rin, who revealed that she knew everything about Ji-woong cheating on her with another woman that night. Moreover, Ye-rin also discovered that he was not a wealthy man, but rather a poor and unemployed person, even a homeless one. Fed up with the lies, Ye-rin chose to be with someone more stable from the motorcycle community. After that incident, Hong Shil took Ji-woong to a place where a tree had deep meaning in her life, as it was always where she poured out all her fatigue and surrender. There, Hong Shil shared that when her father went bankrupt and was chased by debt collectors, her mother's condition worsened. As a result, her mother became critically ill, and they didn't have money for treatment, leading to her mother's death. Worse, her father then disappeared, leaving Hong Shil without a penny to pay for the funeral. In her confusion, she found this tree, and Hong Shil scattered her mother's ashes there. Therefore, the tree was very meaningful to her, as if her mother was still present there. Not long after, Hong Shil and Ji-woong saw two surveyors around there. They were informed that the land would soon be bought and turned into an amusement park. Hearing this, Hong Shil's heart was instantly crushed, as the only place she considered her refuge would soon vanish. Hong Shil then remembered Ji-woong's words about life consisting of two choices, having a dream or just standing still. With renewed determination, Hong Shil decided to buy the land. Seeing Hong Shil's decision, Ji-woong felt happy because his friend was starting to have a purpose in life. Therefore, Ji-woong also enthusiastically said that they would achieve that dream together. They both then visited the landowner's office, and Hong Shil made an offer to buy the plot of land that contained the tree. The landowner, Jung So, offered a price of 120 million won. Hong Shil immediately recalled all her savings. If she withdrew the funds now, she would not earn any interest, but if she waited a week, she would gain profit. However, this was not a problem for Hong Shil, as she stated she wanted to withdraw all her money, leaving just a small amount of about 1 million won in her other account. They signed the contract, with Jung So warning that if Hong Shil did not settle the payment within 10 days, their agreement would be canceled. However, Hong Shil was confident she would be able to settle it within a week. Feeling happy as she was close to achieving her dream, Hong Shil invited Ji-woong out for a meal. Up until now, Hong Shil had always reminded them to be frugal, but this time she agreed with Ji-woong that life should be enjoyed. Therefore, she took Ji-woong out for meat to celebrate and to enjoy a bottle of drinks to make the evening even more enjoyable. In the midst of their happiness, Ji-woong suddenly sang a beautiful song accompanied by a guitar. His melodious voice gradually melted her heart, and without realizing it, Hong Shil began to look at him with feelings different from before. However, the intimacy of the evening did not last long, because the next morning, Ji-woong overheard a conversation from the landlord stating that Hong Shil was the buyer of the property where he had previously lived. Additionally, Ji-woong learned why his account was not in his own name. It turned out that Hong Shil had been using him for her own benefit. As a result, Ji-woong was angry and felt deceived, after having believed that she had helped him sincerely. Unexpectedly, Hong Shil was also angry because that morning she also found a receipt for an expensive purchase showing that the money loaned to Ji-woong had been spent on useless things. Furious, Ji-woong declared that he would no longer show his face to Hong Shil. Shortly after, Hong Shil received a call from the police informing her that Kwon, whom she had trusted, had left with all her money along with his girlfriend. The police were investigating the case, but since Hong Shil was not a priority customer, she would not receive compensation for the loss. Hearing this, Hongxiu felt all her hopes crumbled and shattered. Hongxiu also began to think that having dreams was pointless, as the world was full of disappointments. With a broken heart, Hongxiu decided to do the unthinkable from a bridge. Fortunately, Hongxiu survived after being taken to the hospital. However, this only made her feel more devastated as she had to sell all her belongings to pay for the hospital bills. Soon after, Ji Wung, who had been searching for Hongxiu everywhere, tried to talk to her. However, Hongxiu, fed up with all his ramblings, felt exhausted and thought they were both foolish people who could not do anything. Tired of her life, Hongxiu asked Ji Wung to stop following her and told him to leave and take care of his own life. A few days later, the police informed Ji Wung that Quan had been caught, but unfortunately, all the money he took had disappeared. However, the police discovered something surprising: a savings account in his name, which had been secretly maintained by Hongxiu all along. Hearing this, Ji Wung felt guilty for hurting Hongxiu. At this moment, only one thing came to Ji Wung's mind: the tree that Hongxiu had wanted to preserve, something that truly made her life happy. With determined resolve, Ji Wung went to the place where the tree was to be planted and made an offer for the land, but Jung So said that the money was still not enough. Nevertheless, Ji Wung did not give up easily. He returned home and sold all his possessions, including his beloved scooter. One by one, the items were sold to fulfill Hongxiu's dream, and eventually, all his efforts were rewarded with happiness. One bright morning, Hongxiu was shocked to see Ji Wung's tent and belongings in front of her new place. Not only that, Ji Wung also brought a new chicken to accompany her lonely pet chicken. Seeing this, Hongxiu became angry and asked why Ji Wung did all this, even though she had already kicked him out. But with a shy smile and confident demeanor, Ji Wung told Hongxiu to look behind her. Hongxiu was astonished to see that Ji Wung had managed to buy the tree she had planted before. At that moment, Ji Wung apologized for all his mistakes and thanked Hongxiu because without her, he might still be a miserable man. Moreover, Ji Wung admitted that he had been too stubborn and shared that he was initially angry when he found out that Hongxiu seemed to be using him. However, upon reflecting on it, if that were truly the case, Hongxiu could have left him at any time. But in reality, she stayed with him and taught him how to appreciate things, even secretly saving money in his name. Therefore, Ji Wung was very grateful to Hongxiu, as her presence made him a better man. Although he was still poor, Ji Wung reminded Hongxiu that they once reached the pinnacle together, and from now on, Ji Wung promised to accompany her to achieve that again. At the end of the story, Hongxiu and Ji Wung were shown to be wealthy. Even when buying an expensive guitar, Hongxiu was no longer worried about the price. Additionally, Ji Wung successfully expanded his mother's restaurant in his hometown. At the same time, Ye Rin faced misfortune as the man she was dating turned out to be pretending to be rich, and now she lived in suffering. Moral lesson from the story: sometimes trying to impress people with fake money is like trying to use a banana as a phone. It's not going to work and just makes you look silly. True success comes when you stop pretending and start being yourself, even if your success is just having a good banana for breakfast.